have to secure the ICT. So I think nobody is feeling sleepy now. It's really a time for the IT, but we'll just continue, have a very interactive session. Again, good evening, friends. I will say, somebody has said that charity begins from the school. I think it may be wrong. So school is opportunity for the multi-billion dollar. So I think of information communication technology at present are influencing every aspect of human life. The influences are felt more and more at schools because ICTs provide both students and teachers with more opportunities in adapting learning and teaching individual needs, and in turn forcing schools aptly respond to this technical innovation. We cannot deny the fact the ICTs greatly facilitate the acquisition and absorption of knowledge, offering unprecedented opportunities to enhance educational systems. We should not feel that technology of information communication technology called ICT as refers to the computer and internet connections used to handle and communicate information for learning purpose. Moreover, many people recognize ICTs as catalyst for change in working conditions, handling and exchanging information, teaching methods, learning approaches, scientific research, and in accessing information. By keeping these things in the mind, we are going to discuss on the role of ICTs, the promises, limitations, and key challenges of integration to education system. Let me introduce the panel of today, Mr. Dr. Harold DeCosta, cyber expert. May I invite you to the stage, please? Vijay Shukla, Managing Partner from Eduvisors. Tarun Malik, Director, Product Marketing and Strategy, Microsoft Corporation of India. Sujit Panigrahi, Co-founder and CEO of Fitness 365. He is also CTO of Convergence Technologies. Now we'll have a discussion from the panel, not only set an example as a success role model of active involvement from the education fraternity and corporate bodies in empowering in ICT education, but also shared on the best practices and the ways to overcome challenges including latest technology delivery. Oh, this seat is vacant. Somebody is missing. Oh, it is not for me at least. It's not for me. Okay. Don't get surprised. May I invite someone from the audience? You heard of lot of speeches. Security, expert, technology, printing solution, mobility. So I would like someone from audience to come and join the panel. Don't get scared. Somebody was telling while DeCosta was giving presentation, somebody said he's looking like Inspector Pradyum. So may I invite someone? Don't get scared. Can I? Okay, please come, sir. Can I have the mic, please? Sir, can I have your introduction?
Yes. My name is Dr. C.S. Arora. I work as a senior consultant with the Ministry of Human Resource Development in a project called National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology.
Okay, wonderful. Can I, Dr. Arora? Okay. So to start with, Mr. Sujit, what do you think on the benefits of ICT in education? Yeah, audible.
Okay, see basically, I come from two different backgrounds. One is the technology background, the other one is sports and fitness.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I work with the likes of Educom, Qualcomm, NIT and all that. I see, so what I've seen is that technology is something that actually creates accessibility. I mean, I think that, so that is something which is the biggest benefit of technology, and I think most of the companies who are working in the space of content creation, content dissemination, the biggest benefit that they see is how do you create an accessibility for students and also to the parents, some sort of reporting to the parents. So to me that is one benefit. The second benefit is like I have a friend who actually heads an education company. So he told me that once he was sitting in the reception of a school, and he was trying to figure out. So the one parent came. He said that I actually want to transfer my son from section A to section B because the teacher in section B is better than section A. And that is where he actually got his idea. He said that, so one of the unique selling propositions that they talk about is basically about creating standardization. So it basically, so once you create a content which is very standardized content, whether it is teacher A or teacher B, the treatment to that content and and what you are teaching becomes pretty much standardized. So that's something that I feel is a second most benefit. So one is accessibility, the other one is standardization. That's basically from a student's point of view. From a school's point of view, you get to see a lot of chains of schools, a lot of school chains and university chains and all that. How do you put technology to connect with each of the schools? So you are basically talking from a administration point of view, or ERP is what we are talking about. So how do you create a system where the attendance process, each and every process that we talk within the school for running the school, they are standardized in all the places and they are connected. And you can collate the data, you can do reporting which is very centralized. So some of the schools also have a function called a CIO these days. That's basically because their role is to look at multiple schools and have strategies which are pretty much at a
Yeah, that is basically for the large chain of schools, they can
yeah,
afford
I
to
mean,
have a CIO.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Vijay was saying that, I mean, many schools, they cannot afford ICT solutions, but the kind of schools that can afford ICT solutions are the big schools. And if they can use it well, so that is what they should be looking at.
Since Dr. D'Costa, you are talking about that lot of cybercrime happening in the school level. Do you think that it is very important to implement the ICT in the schools?
Yeah.
How do you feel is important?
Yeah. I feel the whole of ICT in the education sector should be like a smart, where it should be a very simple, manageable, accountable, reciprocative, and a very transparent system. That's from the one point of view. The second point of view is that with the cybercrime being exponentially increased, we are the world's 11th largest country as far as cybercrimes are concerned. The problem is that many of the cybercrimes don't get to be reported, or they don't get converted into an FIR. They just are in a piece of a paper as a non-cognizable complaint. 3% of the cybercrimes take place in India. The whole calendar year 2011, India lost 34,110 crores because of security breach. 2012, the whole calendar year, it is estimated that we might have lost somewhere between 48,000 to 50,000 crore rupees. This is basically because of unawareness. We have almost about 98% unawareness in our country. And not to have this 98% move more further, I think the time has come that the education has to be inculcated at the basic level, at the student level, at the school level, such as the major threats of internet can be wiped out in the days to come across. So cyber education must. I just saw a circular coming from UGC on 16th of January 2013. UGC has now made cyber security as a mandatory program for all the graduates and postgraduate colleges in India. And the copy was being sent to all the vice chancellors. I had a copy being with me, and I was very surprised to see that welcome change. And I believe that the government should go one step forward. Why only the colleges? The schools, it should start, maybe a basic part. But because majority of these cyber crimes, because of the ignorance of the children, they can get converted into a big crime in the days to come across.
So I think that the students are not aware of the crime and the consequences.
Not at all.
Students. So teachers need to be educated.
Yeah, teachers has to be educated, and if at all, we go to the Information Technology Act, there are almost about 60% of the offenses which are cognizable.
Yeah. So morning also I was talking to a gentleman, Manit Jain. He's owning the Heritage School. He was telling that I am not in a favor of implementing ICT. I said, why? ICT can do wonder. But the way it has to be implemented, it is not getting done. Because many education companies also, they started this as a different business.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the market, the school is going to invest in the CAPEX model. Okay, so the CAPEX OPEX is very high. First they have invested in the television of the 19 or 20 inch, then they asked to do the LCD TV like the 17 or 19 inch. Now it is been getting replaced by the LED TVs. So it is getting done. Now he is thinking to implement, put some projector also. He thinks that projector also not getting used in the school. Out of 4 projector he has used in the school, out of 4, 2 projectors remote has been stolen by the student. But anyway, that will continue. So, Mr. Vijay, you must have the last prospect in this experience in the school and education sector. What is your take into this implementation of ICT into education?
Yeah, so ICT is really important. It does help, despite what I said about limitation of ICT. But let me share one big challenge with regard to ICT from learning perspective, and also one example which I think is a very beautiful example, and a lot of schools can replicate. It just the cost is practically zero. So the big challenge is with regard to the approach of e-learning or learning using technology. Most of the Indian companies, at least the ones that started early on, they followed the format of digitization of content. So what happened was that whatever is there in a book, let us just put it online. But unfortunately, that's not the best way of using content, or the best way of consuming content from the digital media. But because it was a traditional approach, a lot of publishers also involved, and then somehow this entire smart class, which is educom phrase, it became like industry buzzword. So much so that I'm sure many of you would have seen television ads where one mother is talking to the other mother saying that, does your child go to a school that has smart class, or does your child go to a school that does not have smart class? So it has gone into a very different spin, and more from marketing and facelifting perspective than making a real change. And we did some analysis of several thousand schools that are using smart class as technology. A significant percentage of those schools, and significant is more than 50, had smart class implemented in less than 5 classrooms. So on the one hand, I'm saying that my school has smart class, so all that is looks like very marketing type approach towards learning. So the real issue is to not just digitize content, not make book as e-book, but create content in a way which is interactive, which is personalized. Because the real problem that ICT can solve in a big way is that let us say if 2 of us are there, doctor is very fast learner. He can learn in 3 hours something that I may take 6 hours on. The classroom does not allow this flexibility. The classroom is that still factory type mindset, 45 minutes, 1 hour of classroom instruction, same to doctor and same to me. But if there is ICT involvement, then I can take more time. If I am slow, then I may take time outside the class. So it is personalized, it is customized, it is interactive. It must be rather, it must be customized, personalized as well as interactive, and not just digitization of content. So that's one main challenge and also an opportunity for many of us. The example that I wanted to talk about just for a minute is this beautiful thing which is going on in certain schools that I've seen. What they do is they are using this Skype technology, one-to-many video conferences, and we have all used in some context or the other, to talk to certain subject matter experts in various grades. So all that the school has done is, let's say if I run the school, I go to doctor and say that can you please spare 15 minutes on a particular day. You just need to be at your office. 15 minutes, my 40 children will gain from your cyber crime expertise. So like doctor, I sign up, or I have arrangement with, let's say, 50 or 100 experts, and all I have to do is in one day spare half an hour or 45 minutes on Skype sessions with experts. So while the theory is being taught by the teachers, this Skype, and you just need one, you don't need one-on-one computing and all that. It may be in computer lab for all we know. You get doctor from one side and a lot of students and teachers, and it can be a large classroom also, maybe 200 children being addressed at one time, and across geographies. So if you are talking about mining and minerals, it's not that you have to talk from to someone in India. You can talk to someone in super expert in Australia, and there are people who are ready to spare time because it is for good cause, it is for education. So that kind of model, and it is a very simple use of technology, but having far-reaching consequences. So those kind of innovations are really something that I think should be pursued.
I think the government of India also started some initiatives for educating the children in the cyber crime and hacking. Already there are some schemes are going on with the schools directly, who can reach to the schools city-wise, B and C class wise, that I am aware of. So like we have got a good thing, like I want to know from Tarun, like Maxword being the leader in this segment, how you are seeing, Tarun is seeing the growth in ICT in the education segment. We have seen so many colleges, schools across the country, they are running the programs, awareness in the education. So what is your perspective? What do you take of the use of ICT in the education?
So I think having heard so many speakers talk about it, I have a sort of a different opinion. Having met schools and universities and worked for the government also, I think we have to look at this data in a very multidimensional aspect. On one hand, somebody spoke about it in the beginning, technology is doing content creation as well as dissemination, and I think what I hear today in India, largely it's being used for dissemination. And on the second hand, there is a huge problem which is probably teaching pedagogy, which is what he just mentioned. Are we really driving learning or are we driving dissemination? So I think the pedagogy is an issue. It's an issue because of various factors, economic factors of the country. We may not have, or we, when I say we, I mean the government may not have invested heavily in the upgradation of skills of the teachers, or the government hasn't done a right policy for the schools, because if a school has to upgrade its technology, like somebody said earlier, they have to really account for the cost for that technology. I just very recently visited a school in Bombay which uses technologies amazingly better than most of the commercial organizations I've seen. They do sharing of assignments. They do, the class size only 20 people. They do, the children of standard 4 or 5 upload their assignments. They, like he said, there's a multi-classroom approach where the teacher can actually, address multiple classrooms through Skype and Link. Then there is again, those sessions are video recorded on the PC and a student can download it while he is at home. So there are various uses and, directions available for technology, but as I see, it's still a very, I would not agree to the fact that India has matured on the usage of technology, because I think where India has matured is the availability of technology. But the usage, the absorbability as well as the implementation is a far, it's really lags. And again, the question that comes to our mind is that, do we really want to look at technology as a marketing buzzword where some schools are trying to be better than the other by using high-tech equipment? Or are we trying to change the pedagogy, which is the way a student learns and the way a student absorbs? And that will happen, over time, where either the education institutes will take a step forward in trying to do that, or maybe somebody will come in the government and try and do that. One of the initiatives which I saw being taken by the previous education minister, Mr. Sibal, was the automation of higher education institutes, where he made it mandatory for the higher education institutes to have a domain, to have a static web page, if not a live site, to have the facilities available in the institute available on the website, which includes the infrastructure of the college. For example, the acres of campus, the number of classrooms, the technology available, and then also post the faculty available. Now, when you come to think about it, India has 1.2 million schools, as he just mentioned, and I don't know, 300 million almost students in the age group of 18 to 24, 230 million graduating, in the next few years. It's a huge number, because if today, if you do an exercise on the GDP and GNP of the country, we have roughly 300 million people who are so-called earning class in the country, not necessarily in the country, but Indians who are placed, worldwide, who are adding to the contribution of the economy of the country. Now, and we have another 300 million coming out, getting educated, who will add to that class. So that is why India seems very attractive to a lot of investors, because the average age, or the average age of a working class is very, very young. It's the youngest population worldwide. Hence, to join these two economic factors as well as technology inputs, I think we have to really see on how the government, how the education class, which is in the process of educating the students, comes together and really looks at a solution in trying to improve the pedagogy, which should be the main focus, by using technology. I think that's what I would think would be the best approach to doing things.
So like, can I put in this way, like Sujit was telling about placing one CIO in the school. So that is not possible with every school. It is expensive effect. CIO means chief means the salary gone to 20 lakhs.
Today there are a lot of schools which have CIOs. There are a lot of private schools. Pathways is there. American School of Mumbai is there. I think Amity would also have.
Yeah.
But like I said, think about it from this point of view. When I meet the principal of a school, he says the nursery admissions are controlled by the government.
Yes.
If I change the price of a seat and say I will make my school the most automated school offering the best technology, the government will not allow that. All right? The prices are controlled, the fees is controlled, right? Now, if you flip it and say in the US, which is the most advanced education system that I have seen, they have schools which are run by the government, where the student fee and everything is controlled, and they also have private institutes which can offer you the best of things, but at a price. There is a cost attached to that, right? And similarly, in higher education institutions, there is Harvard and Wharton and everybody else, where a student goes through merit, which is again the way everybody else does in India. But there are seats. For example, if I have a huge business and I want to send my kids to Harvard or a Wharton, I do not want them to be a part of the usual recruiting process. I can actually pay the fee, which is almost 10x. If a normal fee is, let's say, 100 rupees, I can pay 1,000 rupees and send my kids to the school to get the same technology and learning, and yet come back to my business. So the point I'm trying to say is, there's a big balance of helping the larger society by a process in which does not distinguish in terms of economics but intellect, and again also using the capitalist part of the society to uplift the infrastructure of the college or the school.
So like I was talking today morning, the professor from NCRT, he was talking that the lack of 12 lakh teachers in the country, 12 lakh teachers to be posted in the country. They are looking for how they could hybrid instantly, they can give more responsibility to the running teachers. Do you believe that educating one teacher from every school on how to implement the ICT and usage of ICT, it will help the growth?
I have a very interesting answer to this question, because yesterday only I was with a very, very prestigious school of Delhi, where the previous systems manager had left, and the new systems, the person who's doing the systems now was a lady, and she is not very well versed for technology, and she told me that this is not going to increase my salary, so why should I do it? That's point number one. Point number two is about the shortage of teachers. Well, a few months back I was in IIT Delhi, and I had gone to meet one of the professors who's a good friend of mine also, and he was talking to me about the lack of faculty. And they have a certain criteria to hire. They have to hire, the criteria is they have to have PhDs with certain amount of percentage and things like that. Now, he said when we opened up the post, they've opened up that post, I think there are 2 seats, and they've opened up the post for almost 2 years. There are only 5 applicants. And 90% of the time, all of them get rejected because of the quality, Because his logic is that if somebody who's a PhD, by the criteria they set, I think the criteria set by UGC or whatsoever the process is, then the chances are that he will not be working in India, because the kind of money that he'll get overseas is much higher, even in education, than what he would get by working in an IIT. So, that answers the question.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, please.
So this shortage of teachers, 12 lakh is absolutely the right number. In fact, it's on the lesser side. There are more teachers required, more qualified teachers required. Having said that, I don't know, many of you would have read this news item called large number of teachers failed in TET, teacher eligibility test. So the government realized,
the number was
99%. I was not wanting to share because it is very discouraging. 99% of the teachers. So the government has said, after the right to education, we have to have very strong teachers, and it is a common knowledge that teacher is the weakest link in the entire schooling system, and we need to have good teachers to be able to have good students and good outcomes from various institutions. So last year 8% passed. This year in certain exam about 1% passed. So let us not try to solve all problems with technology. So technology also has limitations.
Yes.
So if there's a teacher shortage problem, it's a very fundamental problem. So it is like saying, Bill Gates being the richest man, he's been struggling with all the technology and the money that he has to fight things on issues around polio and poverty and other communicable diseases. So the point is, to your question, is technology can improve a lot of things in learning outcomes, in efficiency, efficacy, effectiveness of educational institutions. But whether intervention of technology can get good teachers, maybe partly yes. So TET, for example, there are certain very smart entrepreneurs who have created online tutoring of TET. So their technology is playing some role. But then to get good teachers in large numbers is a very fundamental problem, pretty much like poverty alleviation, which is hard to handle with the technology.
Yeah. So before going to talk to Sarah, when last time also in your speech you talked about Mr. Bill Gates and now say, so there's just going through a quote of Mr. Bill Gates, when you have money in hand, only you forget who are you. But when you don't have money in your hand, the whole world forget who you are. It is life.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sarah, how do you think that importance of ICT?
I'll tell you how or what we are doing.
And you develop the Indianized content, Indianized software for the right requirement from the Edu Institute. How do you think that is important?
See, at Fracton, what we've been doing for some time, and I'll share that. And in terms of
you have to tell there is prospectively, what is your feel into ICT? I don't want, not in the development side, but the feeling into.
I'll tell you in terms of our experience that we are getting here.
Yeah.
See, what's happening is, as we are saying, that there is lack of quality of teachers on one side. There is a whole lot of technology which is available. Then somebody is talking about the fact that while I am and another person is sitting in the same class, somebody understands it in those 45 minutes, but somebody may take a little longer to understand the same thing.
Yes.
So these are various challenges that you face today in a classroom situation. So there are interventions of ICT which are being done to be able to accommodate some of these things. Like solutions which are available today is, you have things like live lecture capture, which is being done. So if it's a class which is going on right now, there would be, this whole lecture is being captured. So while the students are sitting, while they're seeing everything that is happening, they're absorbing what the student is saying, but in between, maybe like there are certain researchers which say that today the attention span has gone down from 10 minutes to only about 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes, you go off somewhere and maybe come back. By that point in time, maybe the teachers have moved on to some other topic, and you would have actually missed the point. So what is being done through things like lecture capture, etc., is that all of this, whatever the session has happened in the class, is being recorded and is being made available to the students on their tablets. So when they go back home, they can always refer back to the same class, what they were a part of, and go to those particular sections and be informed and at least learn. In case there is something that they don't understand, they can actually mark it within those videos, etc. And the information can come back to the teacher. So the next morning when the teacher comes back, the teacher is actually able to see what parts of those lectures were not really understood well enough by the student. Not only that, there are certain other interventions which are being done. Let's say when this class is finishing, before the class finishes, for those 5 minutes, there is a small kind of a test being conducted on their tablets. What that gives you as an insight is, definitely one is in terms of how attentive the students have been, because if they're able to answer properly, then you know that things have happened well. It also gives you the other thing, if the answers have not come through right, it could also mean that the way the teacher has communicated perhaps has not gotten across properly. So the teacher also gets a very useful feedback as to what should really be done in order to ensure that those topics get across better. So these are some of the ways in which we are seeing technology being used, and the kind of results that it is showing up in the colleges and universities, where we've been part of certain of these implementations.
Do you have any idea about the estimation on the acceptance of the ICT from the school side, education side? Suppose you approach 10 schools, how many schools they believe in implementing in ICT? Any idea?
See, I think Vijay gave you the unfortunate news earlier that as an ICT player, it's extremely hard to make money. Why that is happening is that the customer in this case doesn't have the money. The consumer on the other side is very willing. Okay, the consumer is interested, so there is a whole lot of interest there. Everyone wants it, but it is the price point at which there is a certain concern.
Yeah, this answer can be answered by Tarun. I will come after that. So before, so I just want to talk to Dr. Arora. Like you have seen the education systems across the country since you are in the Ministry of HRD. So what do you think on the existing promises of ICT to be used in the education system?
Okay, I am associated with the Department of Higher Education in a project called National Mission on Education through ICT. Okay, this project was started, in February 2009, and since then, it has been going in full strength. Just to tell you the basic premise of why this mission was started from a government point of view, and then, we'll be going into details in case the time permits. See, there are three fundamental principles which the government had in mind: access, equity, and then quality. Okay, now one by one, suppose we take this access. Access is, making the inclusive education accessible to each and every child in the country. Okay, that is across urban, across rural, across villages, across everywhere, etc. That is the first principle. Second was the equity. Equity means whatever is the level of knowledge or skills we are trying to impart, it should not be distinguishable that, this is a, Singhania school or Lotus Valley school versus, any school in the government segment which does not have more than one toilet for girls and one toilet for boys or whatever. Okay, so that is the equity part. And third is how to ensure in the long run that the quality of education is safe. So under these fundamental three premises of educational delivery, this particular mission, National Mission on Education through ICT, has launched various projects, again in three basic parameters, three types of projects. One is the connectivity projects. Under connectivity projects, 10 gigabit of internet connectivity to the university, and 1
that is under the
up to,
no fun project.
Yeah, that is for all higher educational institutes in the country. So that is the project, and 12th plan has cleared 4,000 crore rupees for that. Okay, that is connectivity. Second is making it available e-content through that vehicle. Connectivity is.
Do you think that this project will complete by 2014 as is promised?
See, point is, it will depend on the implementation level.
Okay.
It will depend on the level of implementation, and Tarun has made a very valid point. Some of them are, for example, acceptance by the teachers. Now, I'll talk half a minute on that. And the third point was, once I talk of connectivity, other is the content, and the third particular point is, providing low-cost access devices. We see very wonderful presentations by Amtrak today. Okay, that is providing a tablet at 3,999 rupees. Now, perhaps you would be recalling, President of India has launched a tablet, Akash 2 version 2, and that is 3,499 rupees. In commercial market, but 2,263 rupees to the educational institutes, and 50% of it will be funded by government, which means through an educational institute, a child will get at 1,132 rupees, that particular tablet, once it comes into.
So far, how many has been distributed? Any figure you have?
I'm not directly dealing with that, but 1 lakh is already under order, is almost about to be completed, so it is being executed through IIT Bombay. Okay, and we are not suppliers. We are just facilitators. There are suppliers, everybody would be knowing that the Wind Corporation is supplying at this moment the initial order. But tenders for very big, large orders are underway and all that. I assume some of the companies should be participating in that.
Yes.
So these are the three things. Now, I will take off just half a minute on one of the challenges. Challenges is everybody getting ready for that? Now, teachers require to be more techno-savvy than the students, but that's not a fact. Now, the students are techno-savvy, teachers are not. Now, how will the teachers deliver the e-content? How will they create the e-content? How will they deliver it? Now, this digital literacy gap is there. And gap is not gap now. Because normally teachers are supposed to be teaching. But in this particular case, if I have to create as a professor the e-content and deliver it across, then I have to be first forget about my keyboard phobia. Anybody, any teacher or professor who is 40 years and above, he is shy of using computers extensively. He may be checking his emails and all that, but he does not use it extensively. He is not on Twitter. He is not, using it constructively and practically through human media. So a very big challenge is spreading this digital literacy gap among the teachers, and I am talking of higher education teachers. Out of something like 8 lakh plus teachers, the numbers are being spoken. Numbers are being spoken. 8 lakh teachers.
Yeah.
I don't think more than 3 to 4 lakh teachers have been using computers and social media at all. Which means the challenge is about 5 lakh teachers. How would you train them? Where are the? What is the methodology? And she made a very ample point, very good point. A learned principal or learned teacher once she has said, "What is there in for me?" Which means the motivation element. A teacher in IIT Delhi, a professor in IIT Delhi, earning 1.5 lakh rupees or 1.25 lakh rupees, he has been doing it for the past 20 years and so in a particular manner. Why should he change? He may say, why should I change? So these are the factors which are the soft skills in nature, which are motivational factors and other factors which also play a lot of gap in bridging them.
So what are the promises has to be there in ICT?
What are the promises?
Promises.
Tremendous amount of promises. For example, if you see laboratories, virtual laboratories. IIT Delhi has already been working on the virtual laboratory concept. You go to Sakshat portal, www.sakshat.ac.in, you will find all sorts of projects which are there in the pipeline. Now, virtual laboratories is a concept of conducting remote experiments by engineering students who don't have a laboratory of their own. Okay, that is possible through IIT. Talking to teachers training, 10,000 teachers were addressed last time in a conference. 10,000 teachers by a single delivery mechanism. So you can train 10,000 teachers. You can train 10,000 students together. Meta universities, you have talked, virtual universities and all that. These are various big initiatives which are there. But point is, we have to accept it with an open mindset, and there has to be change for which we are all to be willing.
So what are your take into Tarun? If you say this, a lot of things are happening. So you are the leader in so many things. You are spread across the globe. You have a deeper penetration into the country. So what is your experiences?
I might sound a little cynical on all these things, but because I'm also engaged in all these things. So government has given, let me give you some more statistics to what you're saying. So government has given 100 crores for virtual labs. And that has to be availed by all the institutes who sets up a virtual lab. Now, the point is, 100 crores is a big money in a country which is supposed to be poor. And in education, which is lacking in education. But the point is, if you look at how many concepts have been submitted, they're not more than 5.
Yes.
And all from IIT, either IIT Chennai or IIT Delhi or IIT Bombay, that's it.
Maybe through Media Lab Asia and all.
Not even that.
Okay.
So the point is,